everyone, Shelly here. We are going to talk about, can small assisted living homes do it better than the big boxes? Okay, I know in some situations this is true or not true, but bigger is not always better. And that is true in restaurants, that is true in schools and classrooms, and sometimes in senior care too. That is what we believe here at the Evergreens. And so I want to explain first what we mean by small. And maybe small is the wrong word for it. We like to throw around the word boutique because it feels very much like that. But home setting is something that we constantly talk about when we are talking about the design of our building. So we are 16 residents, each with their own private room and bathroom. It's an ensuite. It's a large spaced room. And no matter what, even if there are individuals who want to room together as a married couple, we will never have more than the 16 residents. So we are limited to that number for good reason. It's a very residential environment. We are going to have a home-centered living space, a central dining area. We have a kitchen right in the heart of the home. And that's the way we intended it. We wanted this to feel very much like home and not a care facility. We are building in a design that is very residential. So if you look at our exterior pictures, it looks like a home. We call them mansions because they're very big homes. They're 10,000 square feet and they're home to 16 grandmas and grandpas. It very much doesn't look any different than if you were driving down a neighborhood or a residential area. And that was done very much on purpose. The other small scale element here that I don't want to pass by is that relationship-based care. So this is one of the most important parts of our build and what we're building here at the Evergreens. And that is, we want a care ratio that mimics what you would get in a family, right? So in big box facilities, sometimes their staff is overwhelmed. Somebody calls out, somebody gets sick, and you have, upwards of 30 sometimes residents that are under your care. Nobody can succeed in that setting. The resident certainly can't. The staff and care provider cannot. So we really want to have 1 to 8, if not 1 to 4 staff to grandma, grandpa ratio. And we really want them to get to know each other. We want them to dine together. They're going to eat together. They're going to sit together. There's more frequent check-ins. They're going to learn what their day routine looks like and be able to individualize that for the grandma and grandpa. So we think all of that makes a huge difference in the level of care that you get, and that is what you get with small scale. So with intentionally building small, relationships looks different, and I touched on that just a moment ago with the staff, but really staff gets to know their residents. In the models that we have from our mentors in Texas, we've been able to go and visit their grandmas and grandpas, and we just see the level of care. Their staff, which they call their angels, which is adorable and so very true, they really care about these individuals under their care as if they were their own grandma and grandpa. If they see something that's not right, it bothers them. And that's exactly what we want in our home. That's the culture that we want to build. So relationships are going to be very well known. We want the residents to know the staff, and not just the residents, but we want their families to know the staff. We want them to, be in constant communication if that's what the family would like. We want them to notate, hey, grandma took a couple less bites at lunch today, not a big deal, we're monitoring it. But just building those relationships allows the staff to notice those small, maybe nuanced changes, and that could make the biggest difference in their level of care. I also think more consistency. I think people thrive where they're known, and we want to make sure that, one, our grandmas and grandpas in our homes are known to us all, but we also want our staff to be known, and we want the families to be known. And I think that's how we all thrive and succeed together. Third element, and again, I touched on this a little bit in the last section, is we want families to have a different experience than what they might have had at other facilities. We are going to strive to have easy communication, constant communication in respectful and wanted ways, obviously, but the family should never feel like visitors. They should feel like they're welcome in our home, just like they're welcome in their grandma and grandpa's home. We want them to have familiar faces. We are going to strive to create a culture where people and staff and caregivers want to stay. I think that consistency will come through with the families and also our grandmas and grandpas. We also want the care to just feel different. Personalized care. I think building small, intentionally small, allows you to personalize and individualize care plans. There's a lot more flexibility there. Individual preferences can be observed, and there can be more readiness for daily routines, which becomes extremely important once you hit that memory care need. We do believe the care should adapt to people, not the other way around. With that, our care plans would be individualized, and we would have the bandwidth to do that. So why this model excites us? I think to talk about that, we'd have to go back to when we first found Brett and Laura out in Texas, and they are kind of the creators and designers of this model specifically. When we were looking for our own family and we couldn't find what we wanted out in the big box areas, we started to turn towards small. And really small. We were, well, maybe we could buy a home, a single family home, and adjust it, remodel it to make it fit for our parents' needs. And maybe we would invite one or two others in to share in the cost. But we were looking at very small. But very quickly, we realized how that puts us in a very precarious financial position, because the margin there is just so small, and that would be drastically impactful to not only our parents, who we were trying to provide great care to, but potentially others also in the home. So when we found Brett and Laura, they had this 16-bed model, and everything just clicked. That is the perfect number. It still feels like a home setting, but it allows you to have all of those other benefits, like the salon care, the private chef, the providers coming in and out, and the staff to support everybody very well. The goal was never to build bigger. The goal was always to just do it better. So we know we are not the only ones out there with this story. We have been meeting a ton of people in our community who have been searching for care homes, who have been searching for care solutions for their loved ones. So I'd ask you, what has been your experience with both big and small care models? What would you like to see if this was something that you were looking for? We have the benefit that we're still building, and so we'd love your feedback. What would you most like, or what do you find most important in a care home for your grandma and your grandpa? All right, with that, thank you. This was this episode of Behind the Pines. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this with a friend. We'll be sharing all of the updates along our journey and giving you behind the scenes peeks at the business side of building our luxury mansion. Thank you guys so much. See you soon.